Hey everybody, this is Jeff Amerine, founder and managing director of Startup Junkie. Startup Junkie is an entrepreneurial support organization. We're here to provide free services. We run accelerators. If you want to learn more about what we can do for you, check us out at startupjunkie.org.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Koonce, and I'm joined by my co-hosts today, Harrison Kitson and Jeff Amerine. Guys, how we doing?
It's lovely to be back.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, hot November day here in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
It's the way we like it.
Gotta love it. So we are joined here today by our close friend, partner, associate, maybe.
Yeah, but it keeps declining. Close friend,
unindicted co-conspirator.
Yeah.
We're joined here today by our friend, the CEO and founder of Go Roast Studios, Bryan Fittin. Bryan, how are we doing today?
I'm great, man. This is good. Yeah, hot and balmy November day, and drinking a little bit of bourbon.
Yeah,
yeah.
No complaints.
No complaints. Yeah.
In red Solo cups.
And
It's a shout out to
Classy.
True fashion.
Toby
Yeah,
Keith from the Oklahoma-Arkansas border.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're probably all related.
That's well, right. Bryan, you of all people know how we like to start these things off. We're going to dive into your background, as Jeff likes to say, your origins Wolverine story.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about your come up and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you guys. This is great. Second time guest, third.
I think
don't
so.
know. Somewhere around there.
I mean, you guys produced the podcast. How are we supposed to?
I was about to say, I should know the episode number.
You like touch all the videos. So.
I'm really excited to be back, and obviously just love working with you guys. This has been a great partnership as well. I mean, what you guys have provided. I always tell the story of when I was in the corporate world, and Jeff and I sat down for the first time 2014.
That sounds right.
It's been a while. I was telling him, I was like, I've got this idea for a business, and it's like content creation and some of this stuff and mixing it in podcasting. And, but I work at this corporate job and I really like, and I've moved up the ladder and I've got a great team and I love my boss and all this stuff. And Jeff was like, well, don't leave. You're like, why are you trying to start your own business? So don't do that. Like, sounds like it's great. And I was like, I hadn't thought of that. Like, but that entrepreneurial bug in me just kept going. And you told me something. You were like, if you're going to do it right. Plan it out. Make sure you have good product market fit. Make sure that everybody's responding well. Generate some revenue before you just jump out into the unknown. Yeah, right. Young family, all the things. So it's fantastic advice. And so I always give my little testimony anytime somebody's like, "Hey, Startup Junkie, tell me what they're about." And I was like, I can tell you my experience. And it was great advice, and especially when I needed it. So thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, glad to do it.
But back to your question. I started in the corporate world. 15 years. Worked that job. And again, I thought that's what I wanted. I came up in that space and worked hard and traveled around the country, and then initially got a job to come back to Arkansas, where I'm originally from, Fort Smith area, to move up here and work with Walmart in the vendor community. And so got my taste of that and enjoyed that. And then, but ultimately, content creation, photography, video was something I had a passion for, enjoyed it. And then getting into this ecosystem that has now is just insane. But back then we were talking about it. I really wanted to learn more about the startups in this space, the community in this space. I made friendships and stuff when I moved up here, and started a podcast called Go Rogue. And I was interviewing people in the entrepreneurial space that had left corporate world to start their own thing. And so I did that with Harrison Kitson of Explainify.
Yeah.
He was like, he told me, I was like, I told him, I said, I want to build my network. I want to, meet a lot of these people in the startup space. And he was like, I'm bad on camera and video, so I want to interview with you. And so he had the connections, and I had the desire to produce the content. And so, we did that, launched, and then we went through. This is a long story. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
We're rambling here, but this has a reason for where we're at today. But we went through foster adoptive care, and so we adopted 2 boys out of foster care while also having a baby, and also being pregnant during that process. And so we ended up going from 0 kids to 4 kids in 2 years. And we joked that the only one that was planned was we actually adopted a teenager.
Wow, ramping up your business.
While ramping up the side hustle, while in the corporate world.
This is fantastic planning on your part.
It was good advice, Jeff. I don't know that I necessarily followed all the advice, but it was a crazy journey. And I think there was so much coming at us that I think at that point, it was just like, we're just saying yes. We're just going to say yes to everything, opportunity, and we just kept going. And so even from the production side and learning about podcasting and stuff like that, I got to know Michael Palladino in the space, Sean Pesheru from Sharp U right down and just made some amazing connections in this spot, again, while going through foster adoptive care. The whole thing, though, is my wife realized that they didn't have really good resources for adoptive moms. And so she was like, I think you're doing this podcast thing, right? I think I want to launch my own podcast. Can you help me produce it? And so really, she's the one that had this heart for this community. We jumped in. I was on the back end producing it. And she blew up 120,000 plus. I think she's at 130,000 downloads. She hasn't done it in several years, and it just continues to just feed that community. And so it really showed like, what can we do well inside the podcast marketing space? And so ultimately that led to me leaving corporate world in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, and officially going full-time into Go Rogue, which is a focus on video marketing, podcasting being one of those strategies. And so here we are. We're actually about to hit 6 years. So we launched in 2019. I went full-time in 2020, and January will be 6 years that Go Rogue has existed. So
yeah, it's huge.
Did that jump into full-time just happen to be around the time of COVID, or was that part of it being like, I imagine the podcasting stuff grew so heavily in 2020?
Yeah, I think for years I had been talking about, hey, you should video your podcast. And people are like, that's not a podcast. That's just a video blog. And you're like, but you should be doing that. I saw the benefits of doing this. And then, 2020 hit and everybody went remote. And all of a sudden, everybody's trying to produce content, and it really became apparent to a lot of people. And so, our business really took off during that time, just because of all of a sudden the need for that. And we had already been doing it, so obviously it was easy for us to say, well, this is what you should be doing. And so,
prior to having your expert help and all this amazing gear and the awesome
great team,
we'd have one freaking little bad iPhone or iPad out there recording it. Sometimes we would have it on Facebook Live as well, and that was the video. That's how it would get pushed out there. So,
but see,
we've upgraded our game a little bit.
No. A lot of people, but even just doing that was a step in the right direction. Where a lot of people didn't do that. I was actually at a conference one time, and we were talking, and so I was like, your podcast should be video. And they were like, no, that's not true. And said, video should never be a part of a podcast. Like, there's still a lot of the purists out there. But I'm like, give the people easy ways to consume your content. Yeah. Don't gatekeep.
Joe Rogan's kind of killed that, right?
Oh, and then since then, no, seriously. Yeah. After Rogan really blew up, I think people all of a sudden saw like, oh, yes, there should be a video element to this. But there's a lot of human connection, especially on the video piece. And so I'm a big advocate of it.
Yeah. For any of our listeners who might not know anything about Go Rogue, can you kind of go deeper into what it is you guys do and what services you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we've seen that it's hard for businesses to create consistent content. So whether that be a video podcast, promotional videos, or even just thought leadership type content, we have a way of doing that to simplify that process. We talked about it, did the workshop today. We actually have a process that helps people simplify creating consistent content. And so whatever platform you're going after, we help you to be able to stand out, become an authority in that space, and to be known for whatever your expertise is. So,
what are some of the ways that you see successful companies, whether your clients or otherwise, monetizing podcasts?
So sponsorships, it's crazy how easy it is to get a sponsorship. And again, just testing it out and starting. And I mean, it's interesting though, you have to obviously tailor it to your audience, right? And so in that space of being able to say, what are the problems that my audience is facing? What do they, who can help them in that spot? Because again, the sponsorship piece is good if it's a partnership between the actual podcast themselves and also the audience. And so I would say the sponsorship is a good piece. We always push people to say we like to position our podcast as customer acquisition tools, and so selling your own products. That for me early on when I figured out that model, that was super helpful, especially for our clients of saying, hey, you're not necessarily going to sell to the person on your show, but if you can have a good conversation, interaction with them, you're able to promote them, give back through content, promote their business. There's a lot of times a good opportunity for you to have a business relationship with them, and so we've developed podcasts for different clients. That is kind of the goal, with also serving their audience and building their own network. And so, yeah,
gotcha.
I know that our network, for example, has benefited from that. Like I've spoken to people at some of our events that will say to me, well, where did you kind of first find us? And it would have been on Spotify. I've had some of my friends from school message me and their dad's listening to the podcast and they're kind of shooting me a text like, my dad's playing his podcast. Is that your voice on there? And you kind of come well connected with our group of people. It's super helpful.
There's only been a handful of English guys on the podcast.
Yeah, that's probably why they know.
It's
probably the accent. Yeah, that's funny.
Earlier, you kind of mentioned one of your early business partners that being on videos can sometimes be overwhelming for people. What are some strategies that you might have to encourage people to get over that initial fear of just being on a camera and talking about their business?
Yeah. Well, one is breathing techniques.
Yeah.
Like do your breathing techniques just like you would going on a stage. No, I always say, imagine you're speaking into the camera. So Colin, where's my camera? Sorry. This guy. We're talking about
four of them.
There's four. Yeah, I was like, there's four cameras.
I still don't know which one it is.
Pick one.
So I would say if you're talking, talk to somebody on the other side of that camera, right? Like there is somebody that's actually on that is a human being. And so right now I'll be talking to Colin because I can look at him directly. But so addressing specifically their needs and whatnot and having a conversation in that space, all of a sudden you're not thinking I'm talking to 5,000 people that are in a room. I am just having a basic conversation with somebody. That is for me, that's the easiest go-to. Now there are a lot of other techniques, again, of being able to kind of get out of your own head, kind of have some space to be able to move around. If you talk with your hands, allow yourself to do that. Be natural in front of the camera. Don't feel like I have to button up. You know what I mean? Because that'll obviously cause more anxiety and more stress. And so, but the biggest tip I can say is just look at the camera as like there is one person on the other side of that. And we talk about that with our clients with content. It's like, who is that person that you're serving? And do you care enough to make sure that they get that information? Like, are you trying to help them? If you are, then speak directly to them. A lot of times that can kind of bring in some of that, we just talk about empathy and authority in that space. So you can empathize like, hey, I've been there where you are. And then also the authority of like, but I want to help you and I can help you. If you can turn that, whatever that switch is, if you can turn that on and talk directly into that camera, that usually helps kind of ease the struggles and the pain points. So
yeah. That and bourbon, right?
That's always
a little bit of bourbon will keep you from becoming a cliche generator.
There you go. Yeah.
So cliche and jargon, it just puts the Dilbert in the background, right to rest.
Yeah. A little bit of truth telling comes out.
Exactly.
It can keep you warm in November too.
That's
the
true.
Heating's ever not
Even when
working.
it's 70 degrees out.
70 degrees in November.
70 degrees. We don't need bourbon, but may as well.
My wife would disagree, but I'm okay with the 70 degrees all winter.
Yeah, me too.
I'm okay with that.
I also disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going for one snow day. And then after that, let's go back to the 70s.
Yeah, but we haven't had that snow day yet.
We haven't.
So a big part of Startup Junkie is our events. We had over 200 events last year in 2023, ranging from pitch competitions to networking opportunities to educational workshops. And these are always free for everyone to attend. They support entrepreneurs here in Northwest Arkansas, and we want to see you at Startup Junkie events. To learn more or sign up, visit startupjunkie.org.
So we just, you just had your lunch and learn here at the studio today.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for coming. I didn't sit in on it, but I heard it was awesome. Well, there were too many seats. I wasn't going to take somebody else's seat.
Standing room only.
Yeah, standing room only. I wasn't going to take somebody's seat.
It was nice of you to come in and take some of the food there.
I did take 2 of the sandwiches,
Yeah. Well, listen, when you have the Bryan Fittin, it's going to be standing room only.
Yeah.
You just need a bigger room. Well, now that sounded very egotistical. Well, you guys just need a bigger room
for next time.
facility.
man.
It's like,
And
well, you know,
did-
we'll
did
work it
they
out with your publicist. Sorry.
just need a bigger room. And to think I was going to plug you here and your monthly marketing workshops.
Yeah.
You've been doing these for what now, a year?
Yeah. We're coming up to the year. Yeah.
What kind of inspired you to do these? And can you tell the audience like what they're about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the kind of goes back to the first podcast where it's like you have friends in this space. Brad Alexander is a longtime friend of mine, and he's in the marketing space, a story brand certified guide. He does a lot of really jumps into messaging when it comes to marketing. So making sure you're speaking to the right audience and how do they want to receive that information. Phenomenal strategist. He actually said, he was like, hey, I want to start doing something like this. I don't have the facility or the network or anything like that, but I feel like we could partner together and figure that out. And so we'd been talking about it for a while, and finally we just pulled the trigger and actually went and launched it. And it's the third Thursday of every month, except for next month. We're taking December off, but third Thursday of every month, it's free. We do basically a dive into something very basic around marketing. We cover a lot of foundational stuff. The next one we have is like stop apologizing for your website. Like how to basically say like, what are the things that you need to just have on your website? Very simple things. And so we've called our series Simplify Your Marketing, but we dive into specific topics around identifying who your customer is. Like I said, website design and going through some of that stuff, some basics of email marketing and how to capture leads well and nurture them and talk to them. And so, those have been a lot of fun. And so Brad and I have been able to partner together on that because he talks a lot of the strategy piece, and then I can also talk a lot of the creative piece. And so what does it look like from a visual storytelling piece when it comes to audio or video, audio, or even social media content, website content. And so it's been a great pairing and really enjoyed it. It's one of those things that's, I always believe in just giving value. Like it takes a lot of time and prep, but man, it's been really cool to hear the feedback of somebody just having some breakthroughs. And we don't have an ask. We have a paid workshop that we're planning, we're launching, but it really is just let's get to know people in our community. Let's help some people out that probably couldn't afford, a full-on marketing consultant to come into their business. And so similar to what you guys do a great job of educational content, high value stuff that you provide for free to a lot of people that we want to mimic some of what you're doing and almost like go even deeper into some of those subjects. So yeah.
And in bigger rooms than
a little bit bigger rooms. We need a lot. It's mainly Brad, not me. Like I say, if Brad was here, we couldn't even have it in this space. So, and I will never live that down. I was not meaning that, and I just know it's good.
Well, you actually answered my next question. I was going to ask what value these workshops were to you, because obviously it's a big value to anyone who attends these workshops. But you kind of answered it, just kind of educating the community. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think for me, if there was any kind of selfish piece on there, because again, I'm running a business, right? It's not a nonprofit, but for us, our studio is great for hosting events. I want people to know we exist. So there's part of that brand awareness piece that how can we get people to my building, to our space, and actually see what it's like to interact with me and our team. And so from that side of it, yeah, but there isn't any kind of, hard sales pitch at the end of it. And I just experienced that this weekend with, we went to something for my kid. It seemed like a free workshop. It was like, oh, we'll do this. It'll be fun. And it was just a sales presentation the whole time. And I was like, that's why I don't do this. Because I felt I did not want to be there and I was upset. And I'm like, I never want that to be the case for our workshop.
Was it a cheesy MLM thing?
It was, and you hate when it's like tied to kids. Yeah, where it's like it's for kids, but yet the parents are sitting in a presentation next door.
Little exploitation.
Oh yeah, I hated that.
Buy these products from Amway.
Yeah,
It'll
exactly.
change your life.
Yeah.
Well, we applaud you for not making your workshops whole sales pitch.
But philosophically there's a lot of pretty good science around the idea that if you want to make the sale, start by being helpful first. And so putting that out there with the effort of genuinely wanting to be helpful, people will come back to you.
Yep.
People will recognize you. I mean, it's the whole idea of building a brand that people trust.
Yeah. Well, and I think
it's not transactional. When you do that.
It's not, and it's very relational with us. Like we do. I mean, genuinely, I want to build this network of people, and I appreciate you guys as wanting to do that as well. And so I'm like, I've benefited from that. And so, how can I create that in my own world? But also too, there's some of the things that we're testing out too. We're getting feedback. We want to know, is this working? Is it not? I even asked in this workshop today, I'm like, I don't know if this is beneficial or not. So any feedback that we can get, because I want to make this even better and launch version 2, 3, 4, and 5, and what other things can we do to help, because that helps validate my product. For sure. Because if I'm finding out what the needs are, then I know what is the paid option that I can say,
right,
great, this is the next step. If you want to, go and actually have an engagement with us, what is that next step that we can help you out from a paid side? So,
yeah, that's awesome. So if people come into your studio for a free networking event, they like what they see, they can rent out your studio, correct?
They can. Yeah, we do a creators meetup every month, third Thursday as well. It's crazy that we do both on the same day. One's in the morning, one's at night. We have some bourbon there at night, so you can come hang out. Yeah.
Jeff will be there.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's all it takes. I'm a cheap date.
It is very much geared towards the creator community. And so from myself, when I first started out, I felt insecure about posting my photos online and trying to figure this out. And there's always somebody that's better than you, and you felt judged and all this stuff. And so even when I moved to Northwest Arkansas, the creator community was not engaging and inclusive. It was very siloed. And so for me, I have so many different podcasts I've started over the years, but one was very much talking to other photographers to get to know them and find out their pain points. And all of a sudden I figured out, I'm like, we all have the same insecurities. Like we're all going through the same stuff. And so our creator event is very much let's just get everybody together. Let's collaborate. And what's been cool is we have this mix of corporate, right? We have the corporate world that's up here, and all those players in that space, and those creators that are in the corporate world are then talking to local and small businesses and freelancers and production companies. We had a film company that actually got several workers through that. People were looking for jobs. All of a sudden, we're able to connect with the production company. And so that kind of stuff, I'm like, that's what it's about. We don't have a presentation. We just have networking and people hanging out and connecting. So, yeah.
And kind of in the same way as the community that we're in, it doesn't need to be it can be a collaborative space. There's so much for everyone to benefit from.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a competition kind of thing. And especially with like creators like that, I mean, the internet is so huge and there are so many people to watch. It's not like you're competing for people to watch your videos. So
no, and you have to have that abundance mindset. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you have to have that abundance mindset. You can't, if you go in with scarcity, you're going to fail pretty quickly. You need other people. I mean, the amount of people that have referred competitors, quote unquote, in our space that have referred business to us. And same with me. I have trusted partners that I'm like, we're not out there shooting a $50,000 commercial. That's not our space. We fit very much in that medium-sized business space. And so if that's what they're looking for, I can refer business and they refer business down to me. But initially it's like they shoot video, you shoot video. We shouldn't talk. We shouldn't hang out. But I've developed some amazing mentors in that space of helping guide me in my journey as well. And also us finding out who it is that we actually serve, and we can double down on that and not worry about everything else that's out there. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'll kind of land the plane here. You got a great studio, got a lot of high technology, nice cameras, nice lights and everything. One thing you don't have is a time machine.
Oh, yeah.
But if you did have a time machine, go back in time.
That was good.
And give yourself
really
a good segue right there.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know the question, but I was like, where's this going?
Have you studied before this podcast?
That was definitely A- work.
I know we now interrupted the segue.
The segue has now been
This
interrupted.
is like a 93 uncurved.
Yeah,
That's good.
But if you had a time machine, go back in time, give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, man. Yeah, so it's hard because I feel like I have to keep giving myself the same advice, which is like, get out of your own way. Like my wife tells me that all the time. She told me that when we launched. She was the one that handed me the phone to call my boss to give my 2 weeks when I was officially leaving. And she said, the only thing that's going to stop you from being successful is you. And that is the thing that just resonates. So I can see that in other people, but I still have to remind myself of that. Just get out of your own way. Get out of your head.
Said another way. Sometimes I say the only constraints that matter are the ones you're willing to accept. So just don't accept many.
Yep.
And a lot of times those are constraints we put on ourselves.
Yep. Yeah.
You got through it though.
Yeah.
You pulled the ripcord and went for it.
Man. And
we're glad you did.
Never look back. I mean, it's been one of those things that I enjoyed my time. I will tell you this. I don't regret my time in the corporate world. I learned so much, made some amazing connections, had amazing leaders, and had some not so great leaders. But I learned a lot through that process, and I appreciate the opportunities that I had there, and obviously being a business owner in this community and the opportunities that Northwest Arkansas offers is just insane. We are in a unique position here, and the ecosystem, honestly, Jeff, that you guys have built has just I've been a beneficiary of that, and I appreciate that so much, because I don't think there's a lot of areas that I couldn't do what I'm doing right now without, honestly, the Startup Junkie ecosystem, the support, and all the things that you guys have created here.
Well,
so.
thank you for saying that. But we've maybe been catalytic, but there's been a lot of people involved like you guys. So we're glad to be part of it. And as you were describing kind of nostalgic ways of your time in corporate, it made me think, a lot of people say that when they get out of federal prison. I'm glad
I got to read more.
I got to trade. I got a law degree. So anyway, where can our audience find out more about Go Rogue and you? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, GoRogueStudio.com is our website, as well as our social handles. Me personally, I love LinkedIn, so hit me up on LinkedIn. I engage on LinkedIn. I love creating content on LinkedIn. Feels like the Wild West of the content days. It just got in-feed video, so things are changing.
LinkedIn
strategies,
live stream, huh?
yeah. There's so much. Yeah, we live stream the podcast, the 400th episode, by the way. Congrats, guys!
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Team
Lucas, I'll give a shout out.
We survived
running
the process.
that. Yeah,
I'm not sure how many times the F-bomb was dropped.
Yeah, it was a fun episode.
It was a tough episode to edit around my family. I had to go to a private room.
Yeah,
can't believe
it was taken out. It was taken out a couple of days. No, it was good. But yeah, GoRogueStudio.com, all the social handles out there. And then, feel free to reach out. I have 20 minutes for anybody. And so I'm always down to grab some Onyx coffee, Airship coffee, Confident coffee, all the coffees. Arcega's here. I can't give Arcega. Or some bourbon.
Or some
bourbon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
If you would like to get your business in front of the Startup Junkies audience, sponsor the show. If you'd like to learn more about sponsoring the Startup Junkies podcast, email us at team@startupjunkie.org.